Starting the webinar. Sharing the screen.
You want me to wait for a few people?
No, I usually just got started. So let's see.
The comments will just pop up?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Chef, Siaya. Hi, friend. Wakutin Seedstat. My name is Danika. Dusagusalik Chud Alti Lushootseed. I am a Lushootseed teacher at the Lushootseed department. And we are going live today. What do you think we used before Pendleton and 8th generation wool blankets, which I believe those are made of sheep, sheared sheep? And the images on are from their websites. I don't own any of the images on this PowerPoint at all. So this is an image of Pendleton, a Pendleton blanket. And this is a 8th generation wool blanket. Shauna said woolly dogs. Yes, they were made from woolly dogs. Skechat. And the definition of that word is long-haired dog that can be sheared. And we now call them in English woolly dogs. Have you seen a woolly dog? This picture is a copy of a painting by Paul Kane, and it's currently at the Ontario Museum. Women were often owners of the looms, and it was said at first contact that they did not see a loom until they got to the Puget Sound. Skechat. Woolly dogs were prized possessions that were taken care of very well on the northwest coast. The woolly dogs were fed fish to keep their fur nice and healthy, for the use of clothing and to keep, and they also used them for blankets. The dogs were domesticated. They were often kept with children and sometimes on small islands. Why do you think they were kept on small islands? And I'll wait a second because there's a little bit of a delay on the Facebook Live. Thank you, Tasha. Yeah, there's a delay on Facebook Live, so I want to be able to get the comments from both places. But they were kept on islands to prevent interbreeding of other dogs with the woolly dogs so that their fur would stay like the consistency that it was, and to be able to breed them. It said that they were a mix between like a Pomeranian and a Seminoid, and their fur was about 3 inches, and it was about 25 to 30 pounds at an adult size, so they were very small in stature. Oh, whoops. They are extinct. Relocation, not having the land to care for them. So when all the land was taken, they didn't really have any place to place them, to make sure that they didn't interbreed, to just resources were unavailable to feed them fish for their fur, because they even had a hard time feeding their own selves and their families. So they had to make a hard decision and let them go to basically fend for themselves, from my understanding. Assimilation, the Hudson Bay Company, and how much easier it was to access fabrics, blankets, clothing, resulting in no need for the woolly dogs. They were let go and mated with other dogs, leading to their extinction. The last known sighting of a woolly dog was around Skagit in 1941. And this is an image of a woolly dog in British Columbia in the beginning of the 20th century. This image is of 2 Coast Salish women with a woolly dog. The picture is now at the Tulalip Museum. Women were often owners of the looms, and it was said at first contact, it was written that they did not see a loom until they got to Puget Sound. And I do say that twice because I feel like it's very important that that is noted, that somebody that came here wrote that it was so distinct that they decided to write that in their journal. It was a livelihood and showed Coast Salish women's status, and based on the woolly dog's fur, how it was stored, traded, and it displayed wealth. When it was time for the woolly dogs to be sheared, like similar to sheep, the woman would gather and have a ceremony. So, and one of my coworkers actually told me this, they didn't just decide that they were going to shear the dog that day, or, you know, it was planned out in a process together. And this is an image of a elderly woman spinning wool. This image is of one of the last living woolly dogs named Jumbo and his owner, Mary Adams. The picture is now at the Suquamish Museum Archives. And they were often found with children. So this is an image of a little girl, and this is a woolly dog. In the background, that's a cat. And this picture was found in an abandoned house in 1952 by Virginia Carpenter. The little girl is unknown with the cat and a woolly dog. There was writing on the picture that says Hilaire House. And that is right there. You could barely see it. And since they were found with children so often, I decided to put these two pictures in there. This on the left-hand side might be part wolf and part woolly dog. And the image is at the Hibulb Cultural Center. That's two young boys. And then the image on the right is of a woolly dog and a baby. And that picture is also at the Hibulb Cultural Center. This is čačasali, Hat Island. Hat Island is where the Suquamish people kept the woolly dogs and children. There was a wave that had killed many of the people on the island, which included children, and it was so long ago that we believe that there may have been woolly dogs on the island as well. This is Lushootseed, Camino Head. It was said that there was a wave, the wave that had came from Camino Head because of part of the land was said to be an overhead fall and killed many that were clam digging. The top image is of Camino Head itself. And the second image is the story of the fall of Camino Head and how Charlie Shelton, 8 to 12 years old, was found alive under 2 logs. And I'll read the second part of that document now. Story of the fall of the Camino Head. The bluff slid in. People in the early summer morning at Hat Island saw Camino Island bluff smoking and something black coming towards them. And then they saw it was a wave. They fled to highland. Some men, ? Some children drowned, and they found the bodies drifting on the beach. Charlie Shelton, perhaps 8 to 12 at the time, and saw it, husband of Elizabeth Shelton. Part of a house was torn down by the tidal wave. Hibulb village got a touch of it, but not much. People walked around looking for children's bodies and saw a hand above the driftwood. They found it was Charlie with 2 logs over him protecting him. Picked him out. This child was father-in-law, not husband, of Elizabeth Shelton. And this is a comparison of size of how small the original shaggy dog, the woolly dog, would have been. In the corner, it also compares it with a person. These are pieces of a woolly dog blanket that was at the Hibulb Cultural Center in 2017. I say was because I got to go there myself, and I am not sure if it is still currently there. But the blanket and clothings were often a combination of fibers. This is a woolly dog, mountain goat wool, cotton, fireweed, and the red is specifically only woolly dog. The red right here, you could see the line of red. And this sign was from William Shelton, Siab, he didn't know if that was from the 1820s through 1850s, and the sign says it was 75 years old. So it may be as old as 276 years old today. That's if the sign was from 1820, and then 75 years ago to date, it would be 276 years old. This blanket is currently at the Burke Museum. It is made up of string, bark, sinew, and woolly dog fur. And I just love this, how you could see right into the tear of how different the blanket was compared to our blankets nowadays. Just all of the fibers, and it was owned by Judge James Wickersham, who lived in Tacoma from 1883 to 1900. He was a collector of many Northwestern Native American objects, and after his passing, so just oh, that's perfect.
It's ready for you. Is it back on? Let's make sure. Oh, it's not sharing.
On here. Oh, she
Don't mind us. Okay, live on Facebook recording. Stand by, y'all. Oh, shoot, I put from the beginning.
Oh, I'm on 16. That's
From
fine.
current slide.
Sorry about that. So like I was saying, it was owned by Judge James Wickersham, who lived in Tacoma from 1883 to 1900. He was a collector of many Northwestern Native American objects, and after his passing, his collection was sold to a tourist in Alaska. and the collector recognized the authenticity of the objects, and he donated them to the Burke Museum. This blanket is at the Smithsonian National Museum of American Indians in Washington, D.C. And this, the lady carving holding the basket of clams, she is named Kaya and was designed by James Madison and carved for the Hibulb Cultural Center. Her collar is a tribute to woolly dogs. So right here, you can see the woolly dogs in green along her collar. And I just wanted to share this book called Pesca and the First Salmon by Scott Ritchie, because it includes the woolly dog. It doesn't specifically talk about the woolly dog, but how I was mentioning that the woolly dog was often found with children. Pesca is a child who the woolly dog follows around. You could see it in the whole story. And then at the end, I have it for my own children because this book is just so awesome. At the end, it goes through everything, and it says the woolly dog shown in the story was only found in this area of North America and is now extinct. Fur from these dogs were woven into blankets and clothing. So if you're looking for something for your children, this book is awesome. And now there's woolly wolves in Nepal. They also could go by Himalayan wolves. They're at risk of extinction, and they're also smaller in stature with white fur. So the image I chose, you can't really see the white in the fur, but you can see the one in the background has a lot lighter fur. But I wanted to choose this image because you could see that the fur is not so furry. It's definitely more wool-like, sheep-like. They have been isolated for at least 800,000 years in their own species. They are not a subspecies of gray wolves. And a plan was made to minimize conflicts and motivate locals to help with the woolly wolf conservation. And on Etsy, you can get your dog or hat or cat hair made into yarn and make something as a keepsake. And this is what you can do today, because like I said, the woolly dogs are extinct. We have what we have and we don't have anything more. So this just pertains to what you can get today. We may not have woolly dogs anymore to utilize, but we still have wool weavers. And I wanted to show you guys this. This is Tasha's skirt, Tasha Gobin, my coworker. And it was made by Michelle Miles, my other coworker. And I just think it's so beautiful and a great example of what is done today. And tomorrow I was supposed to do 11:30, but I do have to change it to 1:30 for because I had a scheduling conflict. So tomorrow, Thursday, August 5th, will be at 1:30 and not 11:30. Lorianne, I got my book off of Amazon. And it is Pesca and the First Salmon Ceremony. And then I'll give it a little bit longer to see if anyone else has questions. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna get off here now. Wait.